There is a literacy crisis happening right now around the world, and we are letting our Muslim children fall right into it. At the end of this video, I'll show you exactly how to solve it. But before we talk about solutions, we need to understand what is actually happening, how it affects us as Muslims specifically, and why no one is talking about it properly. Because this is not just about school. This can impact power. Literacy has always been important in education, but more than that, it has been important in power. In the Middle Ages, literacy was the difference between wealth and poverty. The Bible was kept in Latin so ordinary people couldn't understand or read it, which meant knowledge stayed in the hands of the wealthy. And what changed everything? The printing press. And with it came revolution, free thought, different thinking, the beginning of the closing gap between the elite and the poor. Can you see how reading becomes a crucial divide? Without the ability to read, properly read, employment drops, confidence drops, impact drops, influence drops. A new study finds that the US could lose $2 trillion annually due to low literacy rates. $2 trillion. And we think it's just about schooling? Hold on to that, because now we bring it into our homes. And I think about our scholars. Ibn al-Jawzi was sitting in Islamic circles from the age of 6. Imam al-Bukhari was writing down hadith at 10. Many of our well-known scholars were exposed to knowledge from a very young age. They were not left until 7 to begin structured learning. They were nurtured into knowledge early with intention. But look at how it's being applied today. People say, I want my child to be free. I want my child to learn through play. But reading has a systematic approach. Reading and mathematics have to be taught systematically. They require structure, phonics, blending, decoding, vocabulary, comprehension, grammar, composition. It builds layer by layer, and parents are leaving this from 0 to 7, which is a crucial window. Children at the age of 5 can get ahead if foundations are built properly, but if those foundations aren't there, the gap starts early, and the data supports this. The Nuffield Early Language Intervention shows that strong oral language before the age of 6 predicts fluent reading. So when we ignore these formative years, we are not being neutral, we are creating gaps. And remember, I said I would come back to how we fix this. We will. But first, there's an even deeper layer. The argument that is often put ahead is that Scandinavian countries do things differently. But let's really think about it. Is that system actually being replicated in your home? Are the values, attitudes, and cultural foundations being replicated? Because those systems work not because of 1 or 2 takeaways, but because of an entire ecosystem built around literacy. Now, let me bring this closer to home. I've seen this in real life over and over again. Mainstream school to private school to Islamic school to homeschooling, then hijra, then international school. Each shift means a new curriculum, a new phonics method, new expectations, new assessment styles. These children are not getting stability. They're jumping between systems, and their reading and writing foundations are becoming shaky. I once met a little girl who was 9 years old. Her mom kept saying she was figuring out homeschooling. From the UK to Saudi and back again, she was still figuring it out. Someone gently asked, how is she getting on with her reading? And her mum said she couldn't read. And what broke me wasn't just that. It was the way the girl could feel the judgmental stares that were never her fault. She didn't choose the instability. She didn't choose the system hopping. She didn't choose the delay. She was just absorbing the consequences. And this is the part that's hard to say. When a child reaches 9 and still cannot read because the adults are figuring it out, that's a failure of responsibility. Research from the NAEP shows that students who change schools twice or more between grades 4 to 8 score significantly lower in reading. Literacy is specifically impacted by instability. You cannot build strong reading foundations on constantly shifting grounds. And this is happening while parents are genuinely trying to do what's best. But intention does not replace structure. Here's the analysis and what actually works. Really, literacy starts from home. You make the difference. Mississippi had some of the lowest literacy rates in the United States, but they turned it around. While literacy rates are declining worldwide, Mississippi now ranks amongst the strongest improvements in the country. What did they do? They started working with children from pre-K. They focused on phonics and the science of reading. They invested in professional development for teachers. They identified struggling readers early. They provide structured interventions. It was so systematic. And here we are asking ourselves to ignore the formative years. Meanwhile, some parents are not investing in themselves. They're not hiring people with the skills to teach reading properly. They're chasing the badge of honor that said, I did it myself, while their child struggles. Like, why? Literacy gaps do not disappear, they compound. If a child is struggling for years in the same area and nothing is changing, the gaps grow quietly. Mississippi even allowed third graders to repeat third grade when necessary, but many homeschoolers follow a mantra instead of confronting the depth of the problem, and that requires honesty. I really love what Maria, author of The Muslim Other, says about this generation of Muslim parenting. That it is possible to adopt a hands-off, laissez-faire approach is itself a fallacy. To even want your child to be free to discover their natural self is a parenting choice which will require active decision-making and interventions. So what she's basically saying that even if you want to homeschool, you have to have a plan. And it is a daydream to think otherwise. We have to intentionally build comprehension, grammar, composition, all aspects of reading and writing so that Muslim children build identity, confidence, and the ability to articulate Islam properly. When we miss these foundations, our children are losing. Genius 2012 found in a meta-analysis of 51 studies that parental involvement is consistently associated with higher academic achievement across ethnic and socioeconomic groups. The Education Endowment Foundation shows structured parental engagement can lead to 3 to 5 months of additional academic progress. Structured. Not vibes, not reels, not trends. Stop sharing relatable memes and start implementing what actually works. And if this is uncomfortable, it's supposed to be, because growth is uncomfortable. Let's think about the dunya and akhirah. This is not about our nafs, it's not about our feelings, and it's not about our ever-changing emotions. It's about children. Can they stand on a stage and talk about Islam? More importantly, not on a stage, internally. Can they read a book written by a scholar, understand it, and hand it down to their children? Millennials can do this. Gen Z are doing it. But will the next generation be literate enough to represent Islam properly? They're losing their attention spans. AI is producing summaries with inconsistencies. Meanwhile, the wealthy are investing in real experiences, museums, galleries, travels, books, discussions. The park down the road is good, but it's not good enough. Raising a child requires mental and emotional sacrifice, and when we let go of responsibility for validation, it is the child who suffers. So what is the solution? Now we come back to the question I opened with. How do we solve this? We stop pretending it will fix itself. It starts with foundations, phonics, early intervention, stability, intentional parental investment, using your country's resources, building cultural capital. It doesn't matter which system you choose, public, private, Islamic, homeschool. What matters is how you, Ukhti, intentionally build literacy within it. And when we talk about how to teach my ummah, we are giving children the opportunity to close these gaps through structured reading and writing through the lens of Islam. We focus on phonics, we focus on early intervention, we focus on the science of reading, because media will pacify you into thinking that you're doing enough, but the data shows that there's a crisis. And this is exactly why I created How to Teach My Ummah, because I got tired of watching mothers figuring it out while children quietly fell behind. How to Teach My Ummah is not a trend. It's not an aesthetic homeschooling. It's not vibes. It's actual structure. We train parents in how literacy actually develops. We teach phonics properly. We teach the science of reading. We focus on intervention. We provide weekly support so mothers are not guessing alone. Because if literacy is power, then teaching it is a responsibility. And this works. We have children who couldn't blend words reading books within 12 weeks. We have a 6-year-old reading at the level of a 9-year-old. We have students who are at kindergarten level reaching their grade level within a year. This isn't a theory. This is what happens when structure replaces guesswork. And if we are serious about building the ummah, then we cannot build it emotionally. We build it with mothers who are willing to invest, to learn, and to lead, because this is bigger than one program. This is about whether the next generation can read their deen deeply, think clearly, and represent Islam confidently. And that rebuilding, it starts in the home. So learn with How to Teach My Ummah, where Muslim mothers get access to science of reading training, Link is in the description.